Hello, welcome to this week's edition of the Journey Midweek Connection. I'm so glad that you're tuning in with us today. I grew up watching and loving the Rocky movies. And no, I will not do my impersonation of Rocky yelling Adrian because this is going on to the internet and I don't need that on the internet for the rest of my life. Rocky was an amazing fighter, and his fighting style was it made for great drama because he basically would just take an epic beating for the entire fight. And you'd be wondering, how does he even live? He's just running on guts alone. And then in the final round, somehow he would dig deep. He'd find this extra layer of strength and he'd give this unbeatable opponent the old 1-2, and ding, ding, it's over. He has won. Now, Rocky isn't real, but his story, or the story of that movie, is very inspiring. Not to mention the soundtrack to those movies are very inspiring as well. You've got the theme song itself, which if I started singing it right now, it would get stuck in your head. And I love you too much to do that. But also, one of the greatest songs of all time came out of the Rocky movies, and that was The Eye of the Tiger. Sometimes this world treats us like we're Rocky. It might be Wednesday right now, but maybe you've already gone 100 rounds with the enemy, or you've already gone 100 rounds with your flesh. Being human is a pretty amazing experience, but it's also kind of crazy because one week you can be on cloud nine. Everything can go your way. You can't lose. And then you wake up one day, you don't know that anything has changed, and you enter into a season where you can't win. Everything's going wrong. You feel like you're getting beat to a pulp and you don't know what to do. No offense to Rocky, but we can't solve most of our problems with our fists, even though sometimes we might be tempted or we'd like to. No offense to Rocky, we always don't have this extra reserve to pull from to help us overcome whatever it is that we're up against. If, right, as you're tuning in right now, if you're having an amazing week, I pray it stays that way. If today being Wednesday, you're already having a really rough week, what follows is for you. I know a real life fighter who was much more inspiring than Rocky Balboa. His name was the Apostle Paul. If you want to talk about a life of unbelievable highs and incredible victory, matched with unfathomable lows, you got to look at Paul. In my discipleship group this week, we studied 2 Corinthians. And I want us to be inspired by seeing Paul the fighter, and I also want us to pick up on his attitude towards what he's going through. So we're in 2 Corinthians 4. I'm going to read a couple of verses to you here, starting with verse 1. Therefore, since through God's mercy we have this ministry, we do not lose heart. That's the theme of chapter 4 here. We do not lose heart. Look at verse 7. But we have this treasure in jars of clay, in this mortal flesh that's weak and that struggles, to show that this all-surpassing power is from God, not us. Look at this. You want to think you're having a hard season? Look at what he says here. We are hard pressed on every side. Tons of pressure, every angle they're surrounded. We're hard pressed on every side, but not crushed. I love this one. Perplexed, but not in despair. I think a lot of us right now, as we're trying to navigate our families and we're trying to navigate our jobs and we're trying to navigate what's happening in the world, we're perplexed. And we're tempted to fall into despair, but not Paul. Paul doesn't understand everything that's happening in his world or why. He says we're perplexed, but not in despair. He says we're persecuted, but not abandoned. That's going to be huge at the end of our series of 2 Timothy. We're struck down, and he means literally, like beaten down, but we haven't been destroyed. We always carry around in our body the death of Jesus so that the life of Jesus may be revealed in our body. For we who are alive are always being given over to death for Jesus' sake, so that his life may also be revealed in our mortal body. So then, death is at work in us, but life is at work in you. And now we're going to shift to my favorite verses, and 16 through 18 are my life verse, but we're going to include 15. All this is for your benefit, so that the grace that is reaching more and more people may cause thanksgiving to overflow to the glory of God. They're going through all the things that they're going through because they're trying to set people free. They're suffering, they're going through all of that because they're doing God's will for their lives and they're setting people free. And then we get to the verses for us today. Therefore, in view of all that list of terrible things happening to them, we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we're getting beat up, though outwardly we're wasting away, yet inwardly we're being renewed day by day. For our light and momentary troubles, that list I read earlier, he calls them light and momentary troubles. No big deal. For those light and momentary troubles are achieving for us a glory that outweighs them all. So we fix our eyes not on what is seen, but on what is unseen. Since what is seen is temporary and what is unseen is eternal. The challenge today is to see the big picture. Know that the real secret to survival and to success, maybe some of you are surviving and you want success, the secret's Jesus. Some of you are just trying to survive, the answer is Jesus. He is the secret to survival or success. And what we need to do is stay close to him every day, and he'll help us overcome. And so that's your challenge for the rest of this week. How can you draw near to God between now and Sunday? We'll be praying for you. Have a great rest of your week.